Hey everybody, Mary Z back once again for Voice Hacks. So today we're going to take a look at something really unusual. I got an email from a viewer about this Avril Lavigne conspiracy theory. In case you're new to this conspiracy theory, there is this weird thing, like everything else that comes out of Reddit, and who knows where this started. Folks believe that Avril Lavigne died in 2003 and was somehow replaced by a body double, or is currently still alive and uses a body double, period. So there's a couple different theories. But one of the things, and how this relates to voice hacks, is people have been making videos to compare her voice in 2003 to performances later in her career, and have been saying that the voice is evidence and or proof that she is not the original Avril, and that in fact the person going around performing nowadays as Avril Lavigne is someone who is a body double or a replacement Avril. I don't really buy into the conspiracy. We're going to take a look actually at some videos created by YouTubers where they're doing these direct comparisons. I'm going to give you my reaction to them, and I'm going to explain why or why not I think Avril is the real Avril, or if her voice changed or not. So let's take a look at this first video here. This is the one that was emailed to me by a viewer to check out. Let's take a look here and see what we think about some of the comparisons. So here we go.
Am I just a chick you place beside you to take somebody's place? Am I just some chick you place beside you to take somebody's place? When you turn around, can you recognize my face? When you turn around, can you recognize my face? You used to love me, you used to hug me. Oh, but that wasn't the case. Everything wasn't okay. Oh, you used to love me, you used to hug me. Oh, but that wasn't the case. Everything wasn't okay. Oh.
Okay, let's stop there. This video was put together by a YouTuber named The Internet Vault, and it's a comparison of a concert in 2003 to a concert in 2007. So the conspiracy theorists would say that the voices are different in 2003 and 2007, and therefore, in their eyes, that supports their conspiracy theory that Avril Lavigne is not the real Avril Lavigne anymore. But I actually disagree. So there's a few factors here that we really need to take a look at. One is that these are not at all a fair comparison. First of all, I'm not going to insult you as the viewer and tell you that these two voices did not sound a little different, and they definitely do. So you are hearing a difference between the 2003 video and the 2007 video. But the reasons why is not because this person has been replaced by another person. There are a lot more logical reasons and valid explanations for this. So the first thing I usually ask myself when I'm doing this stuff is, what key is the original in and what key is the comparison in? And we can see that the original is in the same key as the comparison. So we haven't changed keys at all, which would be a pretty big indicator that maybe the person's voice could have changed. And so we're looking that these are exactly in the same key. Face. That's right there around E flat and E face, and it's the same in both videos. So we know that they're singing in the same key, but the timbre, the color of their voice, is kind of different, right? Why is Avril's voice so much darker in the 2003 recording than it is in the 2007 recording? That's what we would call a brighter sound. So bright versus dark, same notes, same vocalist, I believe. So what could explain that? A few things. Many of these comparison videos, I went around and looked at some other comparison videos on YouTube to see if I could more clearly hear what was going on. And I noticed that many of them reference the same arena concert, the same footage from 2003. So number one, we're hearing them in two completely different environments with two totally different audio captures. I don't actually know if this footage that I'm seeing is a board feed or where we're getting this audio from. And I can tell you that in the 2003 arena footage, we really hear a lot of low-end frequencies being represented. And in the 2007 footage, I can hardly hear any low-end at all, frequency-wise. Doesn't necessarily mean instruments. It has to do with EQ and frequencies and sound waves and what you can hear. So if you're new to audio production, you might not notice that. It's not necessarily a fair comparison. We have two totally different environments, audio settings, and microphones and processing channels that these people's vocals are going through. So that's number one, is this is not a good, the only way you could really compare fairly as far as the environment is concerned and have it not be a factor is if you had her singing in the exact same studio, in the exact same microphone, through the exact same signal processing chain in 2003 and afterwards. So if you could do that, you might actually find that you could compare it fairly. But in this case, the environments are so different, we're hearing completely different things. But that being said, I went around and I did hear the difference in some other comparison videos. And why we're hearing the darker voice in 2003 versus the brighter voice in 2007 and after has to do with vocal training. So one of the things that Avril is doing in her 19-year-old 2003 kind of rocker era is she's actually pressing down on her larynx a little bit to sort of artificially kind of oomph up the sound and kind of darken it and give it almost an artificially induced husky tone. And a lot of women do this. They're afraid that if their voice doesn't sound robust, it won't be as powerful. Particularly like rock singers do this a lot. And Avril is a mezzo, but she actually is kind of a brighter mezzo. She has had vocal lessons. So when I've been researching all of this for this video, I came across two different vocal coaches that have her on their roster. We've got Tina Schaefer and Valerie Morehouse. Both have listed Avril as one of their previous clients. And also Ken Tamplin lists on his website that Avril Lavigne uses some of the techniques that he teaches. Now, I don't know if that means he actually coached her or if he just has similar techniques to these other folks who've taught her. When you press on your larynx a little bit, it makes your throat tight and it makes it hard for you to sing properly. And so in another video I found, another comparison video, I felt like you could really hear this more clearly. And one of the things that I've noticed in a lot of women that I've coached is that once we stop pressing on the larynx, the voice may brighten up a little bit. I've seen this in mezzos who kind of work their husky low end a little too hard, and they don't actually relax the larynx to allow their natural resonance to come out. In some cases, it means their voice may sound a little brighter. But what we hear is that her singing is vastly improved in the brighter tone. Her larynx is a lot more relaxed, and some of the key resonance is much better. She's much more able to belt up to her higher notes, and she doesn't have to flip as much. So let's take a look at the comparison that I found where we hear the back and forth between 2003 to later, and we can really hear the pressing on the larynx and how it's impeding her high notes in the old videos, and then how with the brighter tone when she relaxes later in life after some vocal coaching, that it really improves a lot and she's much more able to belt the high notes. So let's take a look here.
What she yelling for? Lay back, it's all been done before. And if you could only let it be, you will see. See the way you're acting like somebody else gets me frustrated. Looks like it's you. You fall and you crawl and you break and you take what you get and you turn it into honesty. Promise me I'm never gonna find you faithless. Chill out, what you yelling for?
Okay, so once again, we're hearing the song in the same key before and after, and we have totally different quality audio resources here. I don't know where these people are getting the videos from, and I don't know where the original audio is coming from. Where are we hearing it? So I really feel like it's super unfair. We're hearing, once again, in the older recording, a better quality audio source and some more low-end frequencies in general overall. And in the more newer recording, the one from Dancing with the Stars, we definitely see that the audio quality isn't there, and it overall we lose a lot of low-end frequency. This comparison to me sounds like the same vocalist before and after proper training. So in the first video, you really see, I let it play a little longer so you could really see how she was struggling with some of her notes, and that some of it was turning breathy from the tension in her larynx, and then actually like in one part towards the end of the phrase, she had to lighten up and kind of flip almost into a mixed voice, head voice for a section there at the end in the old video. And this is because of the tight larynx and her pushing on it and pressing on it and sort of inducing a husky tone artificially. So when a person is making this much money for a record label and is this successful right away, there is investments being made. So make no mistake, that's why there's a couple different vocal coaches who've had her on her roster. So when we hear the Dancing with the Stars clip, we hear the same vocalist in the same key, but singing with much better resonance, way less tension in the larynx, and a much better technique for belting high in a relaxed way. We don't hear the strain in either the low end or the high end, and it does mean her natural voice is a little bit brighter, but she had to learn to accept that, and we all have to learn to accept that. I found one example where she actually changed the key later, and it was on a cover of Knockin' on Heaven's Door by Bob Dylan, and we find that in the older videos she actually played that in a lower key, and in her newer performances she does move that cover into a more comfortable key, but her original stayed in the right key. Just her change of technique is what makes her voice sound different. For covers, I can see probably now that she knows a little bit more of where her voice should sit and how it should sound, of why she might move them into better keys, more comfortable keys. Because when you're singing a little too low for your comfort zone, even if it's on paper in your range, you can kind of press on that larynx, you can sort of struggle, and you should maybe move it up a key. So sometimes we want to move things up, not just down in keys. So two things happened. So do I think it's a different person? No. I think it's the same old Avril. I think a lot of the conspiracy theorists are disappointed that she kind of went more pop and lost a little bit of her rock image as she grew a little bit older. But that's an artist's prerogative. Who are we to say how they should stay or what they should be? You know what I mean? Sometimes we get attached to certain art that people make during a certain phase, and we're disappointed when it doesn't continue on. But that's life, everybody. So really, I think she's the same vocalist. I don't think she died in 2003. I don't even think this is a body double. I think that it's just Avril after having vocal coaching. I've heard similar things in students that I've taught, and I definitely have experienced this myself. Even though I have a low voice, one of the things that I was guilty of in both my classical singing and my belting when I first began was pressing on my larynx to kind of try to artificially darken it. Can you imagine? I already have such a dark voice. I didn't need to do that. So I know this very well, and I think it takes a trained ear to hear this, or a person who's gone through it, or a vocal coach. So there may be a lot of you guys out there listening to these saying, no, the voices just sound different. I can't hear what you're talking about. And it makes sense, because unless you're a vocal coach or a trained vocalist, you might not really hear what we're talking about, the tension on the larynx. But I hope you can hear in that second video how the struggle is a little different, and how we aren't really hearing a person whose throat is relaxed. She's having a little bit of trouble there supporting her voice. So thanks everybody for checking out, and this will probably be my last clean singer video for a little while. I'm going to bring you some more interesting content this week, and I want to focus a little bit more on screamers for my next couple videos, because that's one of my specialties. If you're looking to learn how to sing or scream, just go to my playlists on the VoiceHacks page. If you're totally new, start with the intro series, and then pick a different playlist after that. If you want to clean sing, try the belter series. If you want to scream, try the screamer series. And if this isn't enough for you, Email me. I coach singers and screamers worldwide on Skype every week. VoiceHacks@gmail.com for rates and scheduling. Join us on Facebook in the VoiceHacks Singers Sanctuary group if you're on there. And, of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you back again for more. Thanks, everybody, for your excellent feedback, and thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.